Thank you. That concludes the urgent question. The next item of business is consideration of business motion 19916 in the name of Graham Day on behalf of the Parliamentary Bureau on timetable and procedures for consideration on the non-domestic rates liability for unoccupied properties Scotland Bill. Any member who wishes to speak to the motion should press their request to speak button now. And I call on Graham Day to move the motion.
Move, Presiding Officer.
I call Douglas Ross.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. Can you confirm how long I get for this?
Up to 5 minutes.
Up to 5 minutes. Perfect. Because I wasn't going to speak in this debate at all, but I thought it was actually so disrespectful and frankly disgusting for a minister summing up a debate about such important legislation, and not just any minister, the Minister for Parliamentary Business, to be so disrespectful for this Parliament he didn't respond to the points made in the debate. So I'll try and make them again now, because there are really serious questions which I hope the Minister will use this summing up to answer. So if the Government first knew about the flaws in their legislation in August, why are we now, at the end of November, only looking at emergency legislation? Can he tell us which ministers? Can he tell us how?
Point of order, Christine Graham.
Officer, I thought the member was speaking against the business motion. I'm not quite clear what he's addressing. If I could have clarification, please.
Free speech.
The member, I believe, intends speaking against the motion proposed.
I do, and I've got 5 minutes. I say to Christine Graham, all will become very clear at the end of my 5 minutes, but will take longer to get there if we have such spurious points of order. But the point is, there are serious questions about this now emergency legislation, which this Parliament has agreed. I voted against it, but I respect this Parliament and they want to rush this through. But there are serious questions that we need answers to ahead of stages 2 and 3 and 1 tomorrow. And I think if we are looking at the timetabling of stages 1, 2 and 3, I'm making the point in opposing this timetabling motion that we should have more time. Because if the Minister can't answer basic questions, is he going to be able to answer the basic questions tomorrow at stage 1? Are we going to get answers when we are voting on stage 2 or stage 3? And that's why I think it's important that we oppose this timetabling motion. But I go back to the point I was making before Christine Graham tried her point of order. What did the Government know in that period between August and November? And let's be very clear, because SNP members have been trying to shut us down when we make these points from here. The Minister wouldn't even respond to the debate. If the shoe was on the other foot, can you imagine, just picture this, the UK Government at Westminster made an error that cost hundreds of millions of pounds. What would the members in the middle benches be saying about that? They would be up in arms. They would be demanding answers. They would be calling on the Minister to give the answers. They wouldn't be sitting there meekly telling us on the opposition benches to stop raising these issues. I'll give way to John Mason in a moment. And they certainly wouldn't accept a minister doing what Graham Day did, to refuse to engage in any points made in the debate that he called for to allow this to be an emergency legislation process. I'll give way to John Mason.
John Mason.
I think I heard the member saying that this error had cost millions of pounds, but would he accept that this error has not cost anything, and correcting it will not cost anything, and his opposition would cost millions of pounds?
No,
Douglas Ross.
No, I wouldn't accept that. And oh gosh, they're even clapping that. That's how silly some of these SNP MSPs are. If you're applauding that, you don't understand. The members don't understand what this means, because another point Graham Day refused to engage on is how this will work retrospectively. Because we don't know yet. The emergency legislation will stand up in a court of law. So we could meet over the next 3 days to put through this emergency legislation to try and fix the mess made by the SNP, and we still won't know if that can be legally challenged, and therefore it will cost hundreds of millions of pounds.
I say with all due respect to the member, and I'm listening carefully, We have just voted through legislation which the member seems to be talking about and not about the business motion. I'm still waiting to hear his opposition to the business motion.
Yes, the business motion is regarding the timetable and the procedures for consideration of the non-domestic rates bill.
I mean, there was nothing respectful about that point of order. It was just to try and interrupt. Well, you can do another point of order if you think it was. But she was just trying to interrupt.
Through the chair, please,
she was
always.
just trying to interrupt to speak. And this is what we've got. And this is what we're going to get for the next couple of days, is SNP members telling opposition politicians to shut up, sit down, don't speak about it. We've made a mess of it. Just clear it up for us and we'll get no attention. Hundreds of millions of pounds is now potentially going to be withdrawn from local government, have to be paid for by the Scottish Government because of an error made by the Scottish Government. And I repeat what I said earlier. If the shoe was on the other foot, if this was a different Parliament and a different party and they weren't in government, they would be kicking up a stink. And Graham Day also mentioned, when I intervened on him earlier, that I was thinking up conspiracy theories. Well, you will. Members will think up conspiracy theories if you've got the government trying to shut down the debate, the minister not even responding to genuine points that have been made, and SNP members trying to interrupt opposition members, putting things on the record, which is an important point and part of our role here as legislators and trying to get good legislation through. So, Presiding Officer, in speaking against this motion, which I will vote against this evening, I urge the government to once again consider being wholly honest and transparent, release all of the details. So if we are to clear up their mess, at least we do so with the full information.
Thank you, and I call on the Minister to respond on behalf of Parliamentary.
Presiding Officer, to the point about releasing the information that Mr Ross asked for, that is something the Government will give consideration to. But I do resent the suggestion that, no, I will not give way. Mr Ross, we've heard more than enough from you. On the point of disrespecting the Chairman...
Thank you, Mr Ross.
On the point of allegedly disrespecting the Chamber, I think took 4 interventions in my opening speech and answered each and every one of them, including to the point about the timetable that's been followed here from August through till now. Now, if Mr Ross doesn't understand the process that was followed, I'm afraid I can't fix that for him.
Let's hear one another.
And to the point about opportunity to interrogate this, what is proposed here, and approved unanimously by the Bureau, I have to say, earlier today, well, indeed, is a full parliamentary process, with Stage 1 taking place tomorrow evening, Stage 2 and Stage 3. There will be every opportunity for this Parliament to interrogate what is proposed. But I say again, given the sort of circumstances we are in, it is perfectly justified to pursue an emergency timetable, and I am grateful for the support of the Labour Party, the Liberal Democrats and the Greens on that. Presiding Officer.